11 predictions by the sleeping prophet that came true. 1. The stock market crash of 1929. In 1925, Edgar Cayce performed a life reading. He stated his client would soon have a great deal of money. The reading advised him to be cautious with his wealth. The adverse forces would come in 1929. 6 months before the market crashed, Cayce gave another reading. He warned a stockbroker of disturbance in financial circles. 2. World War II. In 1934, Cayce predicted that Adolf Hitler would rise to power. Cayce stated that imperialism is entering. In 1935, he said Hitler would be overthrown after a war. He predicted an alliance between Germany, Austria, and Japan.
The whole world will be set on fire by the militaristic groups and those that are for power and expansion in such associations.
Cayce also said the U.S. would enter the war in 1941. 3. Pole shift. Cayce predicted the beginning of the New Age in 2000. It would coincide with the beginning of a pole shift. The magnetic field is in fact weakening. It began in the South Atlantic Ocean region. There the north-south polarity is fluctuating. The exposure to the sun's radiation is increasing. Northern and southern lights will be seen all around the planet. 4. Mergers of large communications companies. Cayce described a gradual change in communication channels. The varied fields would come under one supervision. Telegraph, telephone, and radio would physically merge. 5. The life of the Essenes. The Dead Sea Scrolls were discovered in 1947. The manuscripts are attributed to the sect called the Essenes. The details about the sect emerged years later, but Cayce described the Essenes in detail in 1934. He mentioned the sect in 171 different readings. 6. Blood as a diagnostic tool. In 1927, Cayce foresaw future medical advancements. He described a diagnosis made from a drop of blood. In his time, it seemed like science fiction. 7. La Niña and El Niño effect. Cayce predicted the future of weather patterns. He connected it with the temperature in ocean currents. The heat or cold is radiated off the Earth. It reflects in the atmosphere and changes the currents. The phenomenon is now called La Niña and El Niño. 8. Discovery of Atlantis. Cayce discussed the destruction of Atlantis in his readings. He predicted its rediscovery near Bimini in 1968. Archaeologists found an underwater rock formation. The formation sits 18 feet below the surface. Some hypothesize it marks the submerged city's entrance. 9. Deaths of 2 presidents. In 1939, Cayce predicted
You are to have a division in your own land before you have the second of the presidents that next will not live through his office, a mob rule.
In April 1945, President Roosevelt died in office. After that, Cayce predicted greater turmoil in the land. People connect it to the assassination of President Kennedy. 10. The establishment of the State of Israel. In 1932, Cayce predicted the Jews would return to Israel. The nation of Israel was re-established in 1948. 11. His own death. Cayce's visions warned him against using his abilities. It would lead him to health problems. Cayce ignored the warnings. On January 1, 1945, he foresaw would be buried in 4 days. 2 days later, Cayce died of a stroke. He is buried in Hopkinsville, where he was born.